Well, good evening. We want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you guys, we are so excited for this broadcast on this evening. We've been having an awesome time. And so we want to encourage you guys, listen, you want to get a pen, a piece of paper. There's going to be some exciting things that we're going to be sharing. And so we want to make sure that you guys get all of this information on tonight. You do not want to miss not 1 minute of this broadcast. I'm telling you, it's going to be life-changing and life-building. We've been talking about setbacks in the blended family. And so, again, we want to encourage you guys to tune right on in with us as we talk about these setbacks. And so, sweetheart, you want to give the statistics?
Yes. Blended families have the highest, or did we give you said the topic already?
Yes, setbacks in the blended family.
We're finishing off because we started this one last week.
Yes.
So, okay. Blended families have the highest success rate if the couple waits 2 years or more after divorce to remarry instead of piling one drastic family change onto another.
So the first statistic, and we read these last week, but since we're finishing this off, we're going to come back to them. And the first one was blended families, and this is what studies have shown, that blended families have the highest success rate if the couple waits 2 years or more after divorce to remarry instead of piling on one drastic family change onto another. And that's kind of, it's simple, but in the same token, it can be complex for some. And what they found out is there's some time that need to expire before you transition or move into this new relationship dynamic. What they found out is a lot of times when people rush right in from one marriage relationship to another, and they don't go through the healing process, they don't go through the grieving process, they don't go through the frustration process, whatever process that they have to go through because of what they're going through, if they don't allow that time to transpire and take place, then what they found out is they're compiling things on top of each other. And so that's why we want to make this clear to you guys, because for some of you guys that's thinking about going into this blended family dynamic, you may need to wait, especially if you just came out of a marriage relationship. Now, for some, you could have been separated for years and then got divorced. That's different. But if you were living together in a marriage institution in that same home, and then you got divorced, and now you're trying to go right back 6 months later into another marriage relationship, then you may need to let some time go by, because there's too many things that you're familiar to and accustomed to from that previous marriage relationship, that if you don't allow that time to transpire, you're going to want and you're going to look for those same things to keep on happening. And you're going to put that pressure on that other individual and even the other family members, because this is something that you've been accustomed to. So what's the next one, sweetie?
Kids often feel unimportant or invisible when it comes to decision making in the new blended family. Recognize their role in the family when you make decisions.
Kids often feel unimportant or invisible. And we talked about that a little bit. But kids often feel unimportant and invisible when it comes to decision making in the new blended family. Then it says, recognize their role in the family when you make decisions. Because this is what statistics have found. They talked to children, and they found just how unimportant they feel when it comes to that process. We know for a fact, we've been there. I was a decision maker that I didn't consult the kids as relates to the things that I didn't even consult my wife as it relates to some of the things that I thought we should be doing or we could be doing or whatever. And so consequently, I made the whole family feel unimportant and invisible. And so I know, based upon what I've learned from these statistics and these studies, that this is true. When you don't allow the children to have a voice, when you don't allow them to have an opinion as relates to the decision-making process in this new blended family, you're going to cause them to now feel invisible and unimportant. So you got to recognize their role, recognize their importance, recognize their relevancy, recognize their ideas, their opinions, all of those things, and then allow them to now be a part of what you're trying to build as it relates to the blended family. And what's the last step?
Creating family routines and rituals can help you bond with your new blended children and unite the family as a whole.
Creating family routines and rituals, and that's so true. There were certain things that we did as a family that we just noticed to be true. One of the things we did, we had family meetings.
Mm-hmm.
That was a consistent. That was almost once or twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
We cooked out like you wouldn't believe. Like we believed in grilling. So that was something that exactly, and we look forward to it. We look. Everybody knew.
Somebody stole our grill.
Oh wow!
Right off the back porch.
Yeah, until somebody stole our
grill.
Somebody literally stole our grill off of our back porch. Can you imagine that?
That was the end of all of our grilling.
Yeah, we didn't even grill anymore after that. We was like, forget it.
But we had did it for a long time.
Yeah, for about a year or so. Can you imagine you going out to grill and you get in your backyard and the grill is not even there?
Gone.
It's gone, and nobody knows what happened. Well, that happened to us. And so, but we created that family routine. That was something that the kids look forward to. That was something that the whole family looked forward to. Mm-hmm. Everybody looked forward to their ribs and whatever else we were fixing on the grill. We just knew we was going to have a great time. There was a role that each of us played until my daughter tried to set me on fire. Then we had to switch roles a little bit because I couldn't trust her with the charcoal anymore. But again, creating family routines and rituals can help you bond with your new blend. That was a bonding thing for me. That was one of the ways that I knew I could bond with the girls if we did something together. Another thing we did together, sweetheart, was we washed clothes together.
Oh, yeah.
Every Saturday, myself and the girls, we would go to the laundromat and we would wash clothes. And so that was something that we did. That's how we bonded. Everybody knew their role. They knew what they had to do. They washed it. Yes, they did wash their own clothes, but we went there together. Mm-hmm. Everybody, we didn't take, some people when they wash their clothes, they throw all the clothes in the bag and then they go home. No, we folded our clothes. Mm-hmm. We placed them neatly in the bag, and then we went home so we could just put them away. So that was another routine or ritual that we had. There were so many things that we did on a consistent basis, but I'm just showing you guys just how some things can seem small, but on the same token, they're large. Mm-hmm. Because what they do is they set patterns whereby you can bond with each other, and that's what we did. And so get that definition of setback, sweetie.
Alrighty, let me see. A reversal or check in progress, a serious setback for a peace process. Hold on, I gotta remember how. Okay. All right, so synonyms.
Correct.
Problem, difficulty, issue, hitch, complication, upset, disappointment, misfortune, mishaps, piece of bad luck, but misfortune, same thing. Mm-hmm. Unfortunate development, reversal, reverse of fortune, blow, body blow, knock, stumbling block, hindrance, impediment, obstruction, delay, hold up, mm-hmm. hiccup, whammy, kick in the teeth, knock back, one in the eye. A setback is an event that delays your progress or reverses.
And so
I got this from the dictionary.com in case anybody wants to know.
Exactly, because we just wanted to give you guys some synonyms that will go along with setback. because all of us look at setbacks differently, but we look at them the same. We speak of them differently, or we call them by a different name, but in actuality, they can be setbacks. So, reversal or reverse of fortune, a blow, a body blow, stumbling block. All these things can be what one may consider setbacks. Impediment, obstruction, delay, hold up, hiccup, knockback, one in the eye, a whammy, kick in the teeth. All these things are what you may sometimes consider them to be a setback. And so that's why we wanted to bring these synonyms to light, because as we talk about these setbacks, you can now relate these words or what you may constitute as a setback or as a hiccup. Now you know exactly what we're talking about, and you can easily relate to what we're trying to discuss or what we're discussing on this evening. So the first thing is to be objective. Step back and look at the situation. Take responsibility where it is due. Don't place blame on others. And then ask this question: is your setback really that significant, or will it just require a little extra exertion on your part? Come to terms with it and then start planning your next move. And so that's our base right there. That's our base for this setback in the blended family. First of all, you got to be objective. When you're dealing with setbacks, one of the worst things that a person can do is only want to look at it and view it from their own point of view. Unfortunately, most of us can't get past our own views. We can't get past how we see it, because for us, how we see it is all there is to it. But we know via Pastor Rick that what we know isn't all there is to know. And not only what you know isn't all there is to know, what you see isn't all there is to see. Because sometimes we see things surface and we don't get to the heart of the matter. Sometimes we see things from afar, but we can't see it up close. Sometimes we see it up close, but we can't see it afar. And so you got to understand, sometimes you just got to be objective. You got to open yourself up to another viewpoint, another way of seeing things. That's one of the things that I had to come to grips with, because everybody in the house saw things a lot differently than me. My wife saw some things differently. The girl saw things differently. My son, he saw things differently. Everybody saw things differently than I did. And so for me to get a better understanding of where I was and where I was trying to get to and the position or the place I put my family in, I had to now open myself up to their viewpoints and how they saw things, and not be judgmental when they start explaining to me why they saw things or how they saw it. But I just had to open myself up to receive what they were telling me. And so sometimes you got to step back and take a look at the situation. And then you got to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility where it is due. You have to. Too many times or too often, sweetheart, I'm finding out that we do a lot of blame gaming and a lot of finger pointing when it comes to corrections, when it comes to mistakes that we made, and we'll now point the finger at the other person or the other people in the household because we don't want to take responsibility for our actions and the things that we've done, our role in it. And so you have to do that and don't place that blame on others. And then you have to ask yourself, is this setback, is this hiccup, is this reverse of fortune, is this body blow, whatever you want to call it, this stumbling block, is this really that significant? Because the truth of the matter is a lot of times it's not that significant. It's really not that important. And sometimes, and let me say this, just because it's important to you, that doesn't really make it important. Sometimes it's just not important. That's just how you want to view it. You want to blow it up and make it so much bigger than what it really is. And so you got to ask yourself, is this really that significant, or will it just require a little exertion on your part? Will it just require a little effort? It didn't take a lot of effort for me to go to my family and say, I blew it. It didn't take a lot of effort for me to go to my family and say, forgive me for the bad choices and the bad decisions that I made. I didn't have time to be concerned about their bad choices. I didn't have time to be concerned about their bad decisions. I was only responsible for my responses. Let me say that again. I was only responsible for my responses because my response is my responsibility. And so I had to own up to my actions. I had to own up to the things that I did that put us in a position that wasn't prosperous or didn't take us where we wanted to go. And so you got to come to terms with it, and then you got to start planning your next move. And that's what I did. I had to learn how to plan my next move. And so we talked about how to deal with the setbacks, but tonight we're going to talk about how do I move on from setbacks.
Well, I'm just going to read them, though.
Okay, go ahead, sweetie.
I'm going to read what we talked about, and then we'll pick up. So express your emotions, your feelings, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Be objective, take a step back and look at the situation and assess what needs to be done to move forward.
Okay.
Feeling discomfort is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Have a positive attitude. Learn from your setback. Any lesson unlearned will be repeated. And we hear this a lot from our Apostle Mike Freeman. Says that all the time. Any lesson that's unlearned will be repeated.
Correct.
Be responsible, acknowledge, and accept responsibility for your part.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play the blame game or point your finger at others. Accept reality. State the reality of your situation and assess what is really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Stay open for change to make things better.
Yes.
Shift your perspective to see others' side and not just yours. Change how you see things. And the last one was give it time for improvement, get better, and be patient. I think we stopped right there. I don't know if we expanded.
I think we did. We stopped there.
And that was the end of it.
And so again, last week we talked about how to deal with setbacks. And so Madeline read the list of the points or the building blocks to use to deal with setbacks. But tonight we're going to talk about how do I move on from setbacks. Okay, we dealt with them, but then how you move on?
Mm-hmm.
Because too many times in dealing with them, we get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Too many times in dealing with hiccups, disappointments, problems, issues, hitches, complications, upset, things that upset us, reversals, body blows, you name it, whatever you call it. Many times in dealing with those things, people get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know how to move forward or to move on. And so tonight we're going to give you 8 pointers or building blocks on how to move on from setbacks. So what's the first one, sweetie?
Put in perspective and understand that you are not the first person or family to have fallen short or have been disappointed with the outcome of a situation.
Wow. Read that one again.
Okay. Put in perspective and understand that you are not the first person or the first family to have fallen short or been disappointed with an outcome of a situation.
So the first building block, guys, and please write this down, put it in perspective and understand that you are not the first person or
Let's say
family.
first family because
as an
individual too. So
yeah, as an individual. You know what I'm saying? Because there are some things that we do personally
and
then collectively. So personally, you're not the first person.
Right.
You're not the first person. You're not the first husband that made a bad decision. You're not the first husband that made a bad choice. You're not the first husband that blew it financially. You're not the first husband that blew it romantically. You're not the first husband that blew it emotionally. You're not the first wife that have messed up. You're not the first wife that have blew it. You're not the first child that have done this. So understand, guys, you have to put this thing in perspective. One of the tricks of the enemy is to make you feel like you're the only one. Let me say it again. One of the tricks of the enemy, your adversary, the adversary to your blended family, is to make you feel like you're the only one. You're not the only one. You're not the first. You're not the second, and you will not be the last. It doesn't stop with you. Until heaven and earth pass away, guess what? There are going to be people in this blended family dynamic that's going to miss the mark.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to blow it. They're going to miss it big. And so you have to put this thing in perspective. And understand this. You're not the first person. You're not the first family. You're not the first family that blew a business. You're not the first family that lost their home. You're not the first family that lost their jobs. You're not the first family that have suffered sickness.
Or children act up.
Oh, wow. You're not the first family whose children have gone astray and berserkers. You're not the first family. And so understanding that because you're not the first family, that there is a remedy. There is a better outcome. Just knowing that if somebody else made it, if somebody else overcame, if somebody else got things back on track, if somebody else got back on top, if somebody else now succeeded, even after that, guess what? I can do the same thing. Yeah. But the only way I can get to that place is if I first understand that I'm not the only one, and I'm not the first one. I'm not the first one. I'm not the first family. Let me tell you guys have heard our story. Of course, there's a whole lot more to our story, but you've heard our story. You won't be the first person that blew. I wasn't the first husband that blew it. I wasn't the first husband that blew it financially. I wasn't the first husband that put my family in a terrible situation. I wasn't the first one. What encouraged me when I did it, or once I was in it, was the fact that I found out that there was others that did it and got out of it. I found out that there was others that made, if not the same bad decisions, even worse. But not only did they make bad decisions or even worse, but they got out of it. They overcame.
Absolutely.
And because I found that out, that allowed me to change my perspective.
Yeah, and it gives you encouragement to keep going or to pick up and move past.
Because what happened?
Because you see that somebody else made it. So when you know that somebody else can do it, it's like, well, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Exactly.
If they can move past this, I can move past.
Yes.
If they can start up fresh, I can start fresh.
You know how many times we had to be encouraged because it felt as if we were the only ones. It felt as if we were the first ones. It was like, okay, this is not even a blueprint. There's nothing that we can use to get out of this. And because we had to rely on our strength, we had to rely on God's promises concerning our life.
God and our Spirit. Exactly. We were, we did have Him.
Correct.
The center. And some people don't have a relationship with God. And that's one of the things that they definitely need to do. If you don't have one, make sure you develop a relationship with God.
Period. And that's why in the blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman is so important, because he's the center of it all.
Absolutely.
Jesus is the center of it all. And so we make that plain. Now it's up to you to make that choice and that decision. But understand, we're going to make that plain because we know where our help came from. Mm-hmm. We know where our help comes from. Mm-hmm. And so we know that we didn't just wake up one morning and things pop back together. There was some seeking, there was some counseling, there was some prayer, there was some fasting that went into us getting from there to here.
Mm-hmm. But we ultimately had to do the work.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That there were some things that we had to do, but what allowed us to get there was because we had an ear to hear.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have an ear to hear, and if you're not hearing the right voice, you're going to find yourself in an even worse predicament. And so that's why it's important, guys, to put this thing in perspective. Understand that you're not the first person or family to have fallen short or been disappointed with an outcome of a situation. You have to understand that. What's the next one, sweetie?
Evaluate the situation and make adjustments for the better.
Evaluate the situation and make adjustments for the better. Talk about that.
You talk about that.
Talk.
I
just want to hear. I want to hear your perspective on this one.
Evaluate the situation. On that one, you talk. Go ahead.
No, really.
I'll chime in.
I want you to chime in. I want you to talk to the people. Evaluate the situation and make adjustments for the better.
Okay, like for example, we'll use an example that we went through as far as finances. It was a time where I was managing everything. And so, you wanted to, manage. You wanted to manage. You want me to talk, right? Okay, so I'm gonna give one. Talk about you. You wanted to manage the bills and stuff. You wanted to have opportunity to, take that over. So I let you, do the bills and and I'm gonna just go straight. I'm gonna make it real short. You like
it's not
really
short.
You just messed everything up.
It's not short at all.
Realized things wasn't getting paid. Bills was late. Like, so what happened to the money that was going into the bank for this bill or bill number A, bill A, bill C, bill D? And nothing was getting paid. So we did no. So in all seriousness, though, it was like we had transferred over, to allow you to, have an opportunity to try something different, something that you thought might work, and it didn't work. So we had to evaluate that situation and go back to the plan that we had. We made adjustments. We took that back and gave it to the person that was strong at doing it. So, evaluating the situation, depending upon what the situation and somebody else's situation may not be, a financial challenge. It could be anything, but you sit down and you evaluate that situation that you just went through or that you're going through, and you come together and find ways to adjust and make it better, to get it back on track. What? And sometimes getting it back on track, it may take a while to get back to where you were. But once you put that plan of action in place and just move towards it, you'll get there.
Now, what role would you say pride plays in something like that?
Oh, pride play a big part of it because how do I
say it?
Most men, I don't want to really. Okay, well, sometimes I think that most men, I think more. What?
Since you're talking about me, you can talk about me.
Okay, well, you were real prideful.
Go ahead.
You was very prideful. Pride played a big part in a lot of the stuff that we went through.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only prideful, it was like you also didn't really like to listen. You kind of thought you knew it all. You were just, it wasn't that bad, but but just, when you think you know it all, it's like you mess things up most of the time. Because somebody that think they know it all, it's like nobody can tell them anything, because in their mind they know it all. So it's nothing left that you can tell them.
So you couldn't tell me nothing.
No.
But this
unless it was something you wanted to hear, and it went with like in your favor, or something that went along with that went along with what you were, already doing or whatever.
No, but that's important though, because in evaluating the situation and making adjustments for the better, you got to realize that, hey, there could be a whole lot of factors that's playing into this.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of factors into why we got here. We didn't just get here because of osmosis. We didn't just get here because there was just a bad decision made. There's some underlying factors like pride, arrogance, stiff neck, hardiness. Wow, you name it. There are a lot of underlying factors: fear, hurt, frustration, anger, disappointment. There are a lot of underlying factors that go into the decision-making process of why you are the way you are and how you got to where you are. And so when you evaluate the situation and when you begin to make adjustments for the better, like Madeline was talking about with the finances early on, it was like the first, like the second year, I wanted, okay, she got this thing, let me try. Let me give it a whip. Man, that was the dumbest decision I could have made. Like, you wouldn't believe, like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, you like buying. You don't like paying. You just want to buy. You want to spend. And you got to be honest with yourself.
No, the time during that time when I was riding around and wasn't no insurance on it because you hadn't paid.
They didn't pay the insurance on the car. Just riding around in that joint
for like what, 6 months? Because I think that's about how long.
It was probably about 6
6
months.
or 8 months because that's about how long you handled when you tried to take over that.
Let me tell y'all something.
After I saw that, aside and allow him to take a chance as what most women would fall at.
Let me tell you something.
Keisha laughing.
When she gave me this
I was riding,
opportunity,
girl, didn't know, I ain't had no insurance on none of the cars.
Hold on. But she gave me this opportunity to try this thing, man, to be the CFO. Here I was CFO, all right, but I stopped. The last time my course was 1990, but I did CFO. And so, it was like you would not believe how bad I messed that stuff up. I mean, things was in a uproar, in a disarray. It was terrible.
And it really wasn't easy to allow you to do that.
No, because that's what you do.
Type of and for me, it's like I like to know that things are done. I like to make sure that if the bill is due on the 1st or the bill is due on the 5th, if the bill is due on the 15th, I like to try to make sure that I'm right at that time. Correct. As to where back then you was like, I mean, well, shoot, as long as it's getting paid.
But the problem was it wasn't
getting paid.
That's the problem. It wasn't even getting paid. And so I had to sit back, man, and that's what
that could have been a deal, bro.
What? No, it could have been something that broke the deal.
That could have broke the deal. I found out like, oh my God, what? You ain't paid none of.
And so, but guys, we sharing it, and it's funny. We can laugh about this.
It's funny now. It wasn't funny then, y'all. I was mad, frustrated.
It took a lot of humility on my part to say, you know what? This is not your strong suit. This is not something that you're great at. You could be if you allow discipline to take place. If you allow yourself to be disciplined, and for most people, that's all they need is some discipline.
Yeah.
All you need is to discipline yourself. But I wasn't disciplined in that area. And so I had to say, you know what? I can't continue to allow my family to be in this position. And so I'm going to give this back. I'm going to do the necessary things to help assist in getting out of this. But I now come underneath of your authority as relates to being the CFO of this family. And when I did that, it wasn't a hard thing to do. After I did it, it wasn't a hard thing to do because I realized that this individual, this young lady, this woman, my wife, had all the skills as relates to handling finances.
And I think sometimes too, like a person that's we stick with that, like handling stuff. Sometimes you can make things look easy, and then the person may think,
"Oh, that wasn't a problem."
That seemed like that looked easy.
But no, that's a good point,
but for real, sometimes we can make stuff look so easy that it's like, oh, okay, so yeah, I can just do this. But then when you're actually doing it, you understand that there's a lot more to come with, the task that you actually taken.
It's a lot. Put it like this.
So
it was a lot more than I thought. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, like, this woman is so on point. It's like, even like we go to the gas station, right? And so you ever, like, you pumping gas and the thing is full, it clicks, it's like, boom, okay, stop. Don't put no more gas in it. She want to round it off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
why would you stop at like $26.92?
Because
at least take it up to 95 or 27.
The manual says stop.
No, but it's still room in there. It's
It's
really still, even when it click, it's still a little bit more room in there.
See, that's the point I'm making. That's the exact point I'm making, which is cool.
And then make sure you get the receipt.
I'm good with that. But watch this. But that's how she operates. She wants to round that number off because it has to be that type of. It has to be a number that she can relate to. And then don't leave. Where's the receipt at? Oh man, it was like, no, you didn't get now you got to go inside and get the receipt. But again, because that's how thorough she is. That's how somebody that's thorough with that, guys. If your wife is thorough with finances, listen, dude, humble yourself.
And look, and y'all know when it became more challenging for me, when it became two people. When it was just me dealing with my own finances, that would seem like easier, because when it's two people,
because you're blended.
Then you stick, absolutely. So that's something that you have to discuss in the beginning. That's one of the things that you bring. That's one of the challenges that people have.
And watch this. Even if you discuss it, whatever you discuss, you got to carry out.
Yeah.
You can't discuss it, and then when it's time to step up to the plate, now you want to do something different. Because we hear that all the time. Well, we talked about what's going to happen when, we get married, and who's going to handle the finances, and who's going to do this or who's going to do that.
Do you have one account? Do you have two accounts? What, we can't say. Whatever worked for your home.
Correct.
Y'all might have one account. Everybody may have a bill paying account, and then separate. It all depends. It's what works for, you. Everybody's situation is different on certain things. So.
Exactly. Because all we're going to do is give you the blocks. We're going to give you the material to build with. Now, how you build it, that's on your counsel. That's on you. But we want to make sure that you walk away from In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman with the essential tools to have a successful blended family. Plain and simple. And so you want to make sure that you evaluate the situation and make adjustments for the better. That was good. Let's do the next one, sweetheart. Do things differently. Insanity is doing the same thing, but wanting different results. Talk about that one, baby.
That's simple. Do things different. Whatever you did that was causing the issues or caused the setback, do the opposite.
Give an example. What's an example?
I mean, let me see. Let me think of a good one that we did other than
the money.
Okay, then I'm gonna use something that's real simple then. Like, for instance, one of the things that, like, once we got married, like we had with me and the girls, we had a way that our bonding set up where they would come into the bedroom and, it was just us, me and the girls, and they would lay across the bed and we would just hang out in the bedroom. So when, you came along, you didn't quite, like vibe with that.
I didn't vibe with
so, you kind of cut that off. And for us, that was like a setback, because we had to figure out now, okay, so how are we going to do our bonding time now? So we had to come up with a different way of bonding until you understood that this is how we did it. So once you kind of like got the picture of, okay, so this is what they do, okay. After you saw, we were able to kind of may have been a little bit further down, but to use the bedroom again.
Yeah, because it was, for me, it was insanity. I mean, literally, I kept interfering in the process.
Absolutely.
That worked.
Absolutely.
And I was wanting a different result. I was wanting more love. I was wanting more compassion. I was wanting more comfort. I was wanting more affection, but I was doing the same dumb things and not realizing it was my decisions, it was my actions that was causing me to get what I was getting.
Yep.
But I kept thinking that I was going to get something different out of this. Eventually, they was going to see how I was seeing things. Eventually, things was going to go my way. And let me say this. There is no my way in a blended family. There's no my way in family anyway. But in specific, the blended family, because there's already different systems that are already set up. Mm-hmm. And so I had to realize, you know what? This is how they flow. This is how they do things. Let them do that, and I could be the recipient of all the juices that's flowing from that engagement. Mm-hmm. And once I begin to do that, I begin to become the recipient. Things begin to flow the way I wanted them to flow. It was no more, I closed my door, because my routine was I come home, close the door. Right. That was my routine, but I couldn't do that anymore. And so I had to now understand that it was crazy for me to think that I was going to get something different by keep doing the same thing. And that's why we want to share with you guys. If you want to move back from this, if you want to move on from this setback, whatever it may be, stop doing what you're doing. It's just like going to the gym.
I was getting ready to say that.
It's just like
I was getting ready to go to that example.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's no different than like you say, going to the gym or changing, or you get to a place where you've lost weight, or you've met a goal. You met one of your goals. You get comfortable in that goal. So then you go back to, adding a little something that you used to eat, mm-hmm. Once a week. Now you're eating that 3 times a week. Now you notice that you're eating that 5 times a week. And then you go get on a scale and it's like, oh my God, you done gained 20 pounds, and now you gotta go back and do that process of losing that weight all over again.
And you gotta work harder.
And you gotta work harder.
Because not that you gotta work harder to get it done, but you gotta work harder because in your mind, you blew it.
Yep.
And now you gotta fight not only your body, but you gotta fight your mind as well, because your mind is telling you blew it. Mm-hmm. And your body is and you're looking at your body feeling like there's no movement going. Mm-hmm. There's no change taking place. And so because we do this every day, we're in the gym 5 days a week. Well, she's working out 6 days a week, but we're doing this on a consistent basis. And guess what? When you stop doing what you're doing and think you're going to get a different result, now, okay, the insane part is I don't want to work out 5 days a week. I don't want to work out 3 days a week. But you think you're gonna get something different. You think you're gonna get a different result. Your body not even in movement that much, because at work you sit down all the time. You're not even mobile at work. But you come to the gym or you work out, or like you said, how many people have we worked out with that work out for 2 weeks and then they back at it? Or work out for a month and back at it. This one here been, non-stop for 8 years?
No, since 2009.
Since 2009, 10 years. Non-stop since 2009. Matter of fact, she's been getting up. Back then it wasn't this early.
It was 4 o'clock.
But 4 o'clock in the morning, she's been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning for 10 years, at least. Straight going to the gym.
Now it's earlier.
Now it's earlier.
Pretty much an hour.
But again, her body is used to it. So she's getting great results. You can't just hop in this thing and then you do something for a little bit and then you just go back to it. You do something for a little bit and you go back to it. You do something for a little bit, you're nice to your wife then you go back being mean. You're nice to your husband, then you go back being mean. You're nice to the children, then you go back being mean. You loving, you caring, you affectionate, then you go back to the same old person. You pay bills, then you don't pay bills. You do this, then you don't do that. You eat good, then you don't eat good. You do all these things on a stop and go basis, expecting a different result. Well, guess what? There's no way you're going to keep eating double cheeseburgers, supersized fries, and a milkshake on a consistent basis and think you're going to lose weight. It's not going to happen. I don't care how many B12 shots you get. I don't care how much liposuction you get. I don't care how much, whatever you get, you're going to still gain that weight. You're going to get bigger and bigger. And so we're going to move on for that because we got a lot to cover in the next 14
And that
minutes.
was doing things different.
Yes, go ahead.
So commit to each other, your family, that you would do what it takes to bounce back.
Commit to each other, your family, that you will do what it takes to bounce back.
Well, that's just like we were saying earlier, putting a plan of action in place and following out that plan.
Yes. Even like I told you guys how years ago, I had to come to my family individually and apologize. I had to commit to my family that I was going to do better. And I had to go to my wife first. I had to go to my girls, and then I had to go to my son. And I had to ask each and every one of them to forgive me for my bad actions, my bad decisions, my bad choices. And then I had to commit that I was going to do better. I had to commit that. And then I had to put a plan in place to assure that I was going to give them exactly what I said I was going to give them. Which means I couldn't be short-tempered. I couldn't be standoffish. What's the other stuff I was?
Stubborn, hard-headed,
prideful.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. No, but I couldn't be any of that.
No, you had to replace that with something
exactly
positive.
I had to put a plan in place. And guess what? It wasn't hard. See, when your heart is there to do something, it's not a hard job. When you want what you want, it's not a hard thing to do to make adjustments. I wanted the best family. I wanted my wife to love me. I wanted my children to love me. Not only did I want them to love me, I wanted them to like me. Because many of you love each other, but you don't even like each other. Yeah, that was hard for me. It was hard for me knowing that my wife didn't even like me. I wasn't questioning the fact that if she loved me, I knew she loved me, but she didn't even like me. And so I had to make an adjustment. I had to do things differently. I had to commit a change to her. And then I had to put a plan in place in order to bounce back. And when I did that, guess what? I got everything from it that I wanted from it. Mm-hmm. And so you have to do that. What's the next one, sweetie?
Change your mindset to a winning mindset, knowing that all you do is win.
Talk about
it. At this point, you have to be at a place where it's like it doesn't matter what transpires, what obstacles you face, what stumbling blocks are in your way. You just got to have that mindset that you know you win no matter what. When you know that you win, it's like almost a fixed fight.
Ooh.
When you know that whether it's fixed for you to win in the first round or it's fixed for you to win in the 12th round.
Ooh, you hear that, Roy? What your sister know about fighting?
So whether it's first or 12, you know you're going to win. It don't matter what you got to go through or how many blows you take during that time because you know you win in the end. So when you develop that mindset, it was like really because even in the beginning, when we declared that no matter what, we wasn't going to go through divorce, mm-hmm. That's having a winning mindset.
Correct.
So once you develop that, not that everything else don't matter, because during the time that you're dealing with whatever, it feel like it matters, but it don't matter when you know that you win.
And so you know, but you know you win.
But you know you win.
And so regardless of, like you say, if it's the first round, the 5th round, or the 12th round, I win. And so, man, it's like you said, you could take some blows, but you've already trained for this.
It's like the shirt Dr. Didi has it. She says, it's not the process that matters, it's the promise.
Say that again.
It's not the process that matters, it's the promise. So when you focus on the promise, the process that you have to go through don't even matter.
No, slow down for a second, because this is important. Listen, guys, it's not the process that you go through, it's the promise
that matters. Yes.
Hashtag Dr. Didi Freeman.
Yeah.
It's not the process that you go through, it's the promise. Because when you know the promise, the process doesn't make a difference. It's like for us, there were some promises given to us. So no matter what we go through, we always go back to that promise. Mm-hmm. We always go back to we're the head and not the tail. We're above only, never beneath. We're lenders and not borrowers. No good thing will he withhold from us. We walk in righteousness. We have abundance more and above than we could ever ask for. So no matter what we deal with, that promise to us is bigger than that process.
Well, yeah, and you have to make it bigger.
Correct.
Because you know what I mean? In your mind, you got to make it bigger than what it. You know what I mean? You have to make the promise in your mind bigger than the process.
Okay.
Because when we're going through, we think that what we're going through is bigger than, it's big at that particular time.
But
when you make that promise bigger than that process, you will go through it. Go ahead. You guys add to it? Hurry up, because we're running out of time.
No, but what I was going to say is, back in November of 2016, I had gastric sleeve surgery. So a lot of you guys want to know what I did in the early part of this, in the weight loss. I had surgery. And so the doctor promised me that if I will be obedient and I will follow his instructions, I will have great results. Mm-hmm. That was his promise to me. Mm-hmm. Now, the process I had to work out.
Absolutely.
Now, in that process, I was sick. I was weak. I was irritable. I was a lot of things in that process. But because the promise was so great, it didn't matter what I dealt with during that process, because I knew what the promise was to me. Mm-hmm. And so anybody that knows me, if I get those instructions, I'm going to follow to a T. Mm-hmm. And so I probably was one of the best persons he's ever had, because my results are so great so that when people saw me, they didn't even know that I had that. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're telling you guys. This thing is so much so that if you follow these instructions, nobody's going to know that you've gone through the things that you've gone through that process the way you've gone through it, because you focus only on the promise. That process is just something to get you there, but the promise is what's going to sustain you. That promise to me was that I can have any body that I want. And so in order for me to lose 180 pounds, I had to stay on a promise. Because that promise said I could do whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to just lose 50 pounds, guess what? That's what that promise told me I can do. If I just wanted to lose 100 pounds, the promise told me I could lose 100. But guess what? I wanted to go above and beyond. And because I wanted to go above and beyond, the promise said I can have whatever I wanted. And so that's what I did. And so you have to change your mindset to a winning mindset, because you have to know all you do is win. What's the next one, sweetie?
Connect with other winning blended families.
Connect with listen, man. I don't care who they are. If they're not committed to winning, if they're not committed to being a success, if they're not committed to honoring each other, then those aren't the ones that you want to be with. That's not saying that you don't love them. That's not saying that you don't care about them. But scripture says this: evil communication corrupts good manner. And too many times, guys, we think that we can just be with people. They don't have the same wherewithal to make a righteous stance as it relates to their family and the blended family. And you think you're going to get certain results out of it. You're not going to get it, because sooner or later, you're going to be doing the same foolish things that they're doing. Birds of a feather do what?
Flock together.
Birds of a feather flock together. And sometimes you got eagles with pigeons because eagles don't know that they're eagle until they see an eagle flying and realize that that person look more like them than the ones they're around. And so you're going to have to change your mindset and connect with other winning blended families. What's the next one, sweetie?
We kind of pretty much touched this one, really. Strategize, devise, and implement a plan that will assist you to alleviate the impact caused by the setback. So that's all in putting your plan of action together.
Correct. And then the last one, and we get ready to close.
Is seek help or canceling.
Seek help or canceling. If you want to move back from this setback, man, seek help. There's nothing wrong with seeking help. It's unfortunate, sweetheart. I deal with so many men that's prideful. You know you're struggling. You know things are hard. You know you don't know the next move to make. And you won't reach out and say, man, listen, I'm struggling in this area. I'm falling short. I already know I'm about to blow it. Listen, you're not the first person that got to that point. You're not going to be the last person that gets there. You're not the first person that wanted to walk away. You're not the first person that wanted to throw in the towel. You're not the first person that wanted to give up. We talked about that first. But you're going to have to seek help. You're going to have to seek counsel. You're going to have to give it.
You can't do it by yourself.
If you can't do it and watch this, it wasn't even designed for you to do it by yourself in the first place. That's the problem. We're so prideful and so arrogant that we're trying to work this thing out on our own. We don't want to tell people that we're struggling financially, emotionally, physically, in our marriage, with our children. We don't want to, with our parents. We don't want to tell people those things because we're too concerned about how people are going to look at us. Man, guess what? They're going to look at you that way anyway. I don't care if you're doing good, people still going to look at you bad. If you're doing bad, they're going to look at you bad. People going to look at you the way they choose to look at you. It doesn't matter what you do. We've been married 21 years plus, and guess what? Some people still want to view us the way they want to view us. They still want to look at us the same way they want to look at us. They see the success in our marriage. They see how we are together. And this is not something that we put on. We're like, people that know us that we're just like this. This is the way we are. That's why we're so passionate about what we do. And we talk the way we talk because this is all we know. I have people that's watching this program that have known me for over the last 40 years. And they know that, yeah, that's Brandon. He's been like that. There's nothing new about this. And so it doesn't matter how people view you because that's their choice. That's their choice to look at you the way they want to look at you. But you have to be concerned about your results. You have to be concerned about your family, you being on top, you winning, you being a success. Man, I didn't care how I looked when I knew I needed to save my family. I didn't care. I could care less what people thought because I knew what I wanted. Divorce wasn't an option, and I wasn't going to give up on my family. My children needed me, and I needed my children. My wife needed me, and I needed my wife. My grandchildren needed me, and I needed my grandchildren. And because of that, I had to make sure that I didn't care what people thought. I didn't care how they looked at me. I didn't care what they said about me. I knew I had to get exactly what it was I wanted because I win. Wow. Let's talk about this for a second, sweet. Listen, you want to make, you see that right there? The ABCs of the blended family, man, this thing is selling hot cakes. I'm telling you guys, you want to get your copy. How much is it, sweetie?
$15.
It's $15. It's a short read, but it's a powerful one. It's a short read. It's not a long read. We take you through the alphabets from A to Z. We give you some building blocks. We're not even going to open it up and share any of them with you because we want you to make sure that you get this in your possessions. How do they get this, sweetie?
If you send us an email at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com, I will tell you how to send your funds, and you can send your address there, and I will ship the book out to you.
Yes.
Also, don't forget to tune in on Thursday evening, 8 p. to 9 p.m. on WJMS Live 365. There's also some other social media
We're on iTunes,
outlets that we're on.
Stitchers.
Yeah, those two.
iTunes, Stitchers,
and it's going to be something else, I think. We'll give you all those details.
This thing is taking off, guys. I'm telling you guys.
I should have had it, but I don't have it with me. But yeah, so again, our website, don't forget to check out our website, intheblenderministries.com. Our email, weareblendedfamily@gmail.com. Thursday nights on WJMS Live 365 Radio from 8 to 9 p.m., which is replays of this week's broadcast.
And Fridays at 1 p.m.
At 1 p.m. on WJMS Live 365 Radio. Yes.
Exactly. So we love you guys. We thank you for tuning in to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. Don't forget to tell a neighbor, tell a friend. Join us every Tuesday night at 7:30. And until next week, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.